If I got a nickel every time a popular Asian web novel had Prague as part of its story, I'd have a couple of nickels, which isn't a lot, but it sure is weird that it is so relevant. So, when talking about the outer gods, I have a clear favorite, the goddess of origin. Mother goddess of depravity. And I mean, how could you not be intrigued? She's a pillar of the universe, which basically means that she functions like a fundamental force, like gravity. She has existed since the beginning of the universe, is responsible for all life across the universe, and accurately depicts the horrors of studying biology, as well as the exciting possibilities of when your scientific research is not restricted by such puny things like morals. Her official title is Mother Goddess of Depravity, or degeneration. I'm gonna explain later on why I wrote that one down, not depravity. Origin of evil, very important. Evil. The indestructible. Indestructible. And the broad hive of filth, which is related to the Sephiroth, which she technically lost, so it's not part of the title anymore, but that doesn't matter. Filth. The mother part is very straightforward. She is the foremother of everything living, as I stated. She has created all life across the universe. Goddess, she is a god. I mean, what more do you want? But now depravity, that we will come back to, because there are so many different ways to interpret that, and I needed to check out like a dozen different dictionaries to figure out what's the exact thing we're trying to get across with that name. Do I live for the literal creator of life and universe, having the title of origin of evil, because when no life, no intentional actions, which means no morality and therefore no evil, so by creating life, she literally created evil. Yes, intelligent life, or maybe even the collective of a species, is the basis for creation of morals, and evil is based on morals, so yes, she's the origin of evil, but not in the way that all evil originates from her, but all that has created evil originates from her. In the same way, we could technically call her the origin of goodness as well. The indestructible, and in the first law of thermodynamics, blah 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 blah. What else would you honestly expect from an eldritch entity of life? There is an inkling in me that wants to say that this indestructible is somehow tied to the indestructibility of beyonder characteristics. But I'm not sure how to explain the connection yet, so maybe I will elaborate on that in future. And finally, broad hive of filth. That absolutely made no sense to me. I did not understand it first time reading the book, nor the countless of times that I've gone to the Wikipedia, or like the fandom page, to understand what the fuck it's about. So we will come back to that. When trying to break apart or understand these titles, I kept getting stuck with the translator's choices. So let's check out what the Chinese title is and roughly what the direct translation would be to English. Firstly, degenerate, mother, origin, source, female gods. start of evil, one who won't go out, specifically in the context of a flame or like a light. Mother or origin nest of filth. Nest is the important part here, which is kind of equal to the broad hive. But I like the term of nest more. I asked a friend help on Duolo or the degenerate, just in case, and she specified that it is specifically used in the context of degeneration in a moral sense, which I originally was fully going to go and tie it to the orders or dimensionality in nature and theology, so like layers, and then degeneration would be going from, okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, so layers going higher, like orders or dimensionality, and degeneration would be going from a higher layer to the lower layer. That's what I was gonna talk about, but because it's in a moral sense, I can kind of ignore the complexities of natural hierarchy or theological hierarchy. But so what does degeneration mean in a moral sense? I think it could be understood as abandoning, both willingly or unwillingly, the established structure of morality. So you have this box of morality, which is widely accepted because we created morality, and then degenerate in a moral sense would be going from this box out, breaking apart the box, maybe even. You know, it has a lot of Nietzschean, or I think it has a lot of influence from Nietzschean philosophy, or maybe even Bataille. Yeah, going to that limits of rationality or morality, and then losing it to kind of like look back is the Nietzschean version. I don't know if this applies here in this context. Maybe it does. I think the start of evil, start of evil kind of agrees with what I was going on about earlier, about her creating evil by creating life. So, I mean, well interpreted for me. But indestructible in the sense of a light, or like, okay, in English it's indestructible. In Chinese, it's light that won't go out. Oh, okay. Light that won't be extinguished, basically, which doesn't add a lot to the title itself, but it kind of specifies the way which the aliveness of an eldritch entity works, which I think can be also applied to the oldest one, because even though the oldest one has died or went to sleep, and the characteristics have been consumed by pillars above the sequences, gods, all other life, you still have the will. And as long as you have the will, it's possible for the oldest one to awaken again and to come back, and therefore, you know, it's the will equals light that won't go out, if that makes sense. And with the Chinese title, the broadhive, or the nest of filth, finally made sense to me. It's about birth. It's about the horror of having a body. She is, or possessed, the mother's original nest of birthing. That's how she created life. But how do you know that filth means birth? Because cuttlefish is a fan, right? But how do you know that filth equals birth? Because cuttlefish is a fan of Bloodborne, and case closed. Bloodborne. We also make a heart here because cuttlefish loves it. Transformation in Bloodborne comes usually from succumbing to the old blood, which along with insight is gained from the Great Ones. In terms of Lord of the Mysteries, power is gained from the flesh. The beyonder characteristics of the oldest one. To transform from a human is to doom yourself, for no beyonder will find happiness nor peace at the end of the road. The more divinity you get, the more you lose yourself. But what if you are the flesh of the oldest one? You have no humanity or self to begin with. Did the goddess of origin have the choice to create life? Do the pillars even have agency or free will in the way that we understand it? Is it possible for them to go against their nature, their essence, their titles? Or are they simply conscious laws of nature, limited in their acts as a train is confined in its rails? For final notes, what do I mean when I say that pillars are fundamental forces, or that they lack agency? We like to have the paradigm that we are more than our bodies, more than our environment. We think, therefore we are, and thus we must be more than the flesh prisons we find ourselves in. More than the environment encasing us, we must have free will. Theologically speaking, it makes sense. God, the oldest one, gave its creations free will. But pillars, like Mother Goddess of Depravity, are not creations of the oldest one. They are fragments of it, which means that they are fragments of the universe, inherently tied to it. We have this quote about Mother Goddess of Depravity. Moon has a crimson sea. It appears to be drowning everything as though it was digesting this huge natural satellite. And digestion is the important wording here. Do your intestinal cells know what they are doing? Do they have a choice? Cosmic horror can come forth in multiple ways, mainly in realizing that nothing you do will matter to the scale of the playing field, or in realizing that there never was a choice to your actions. Maybe the horror of Mother Goddess of Depravity doesn't come from the fact that interactions with her result in gore. Maybe it comes from the fact that she lacks free will, and thus everything she interacts with will also lose its free will, or realize it never had any to begin with. And what could be scarier to a post-enlightenment world than coming to terms with the lack of rationality? If you have any thoughts, let me know. If you have any questions, also let me know. I might answer them. Unless they are dumb questions, then I won't answer them. Shout out to Matt for writing me an essay about Bloodborne, so I could connect the game more with this essay and hopefully understand better the inner workings of Cuttlefish's brain.